Have you ever walked out to your beautiful garden, completely excited to check on your growing vegetables, only to find half of them chewed to pieces by bugs? It is one of the most frustrating feelings in the world. You spend hours watering, weeding, and caring for your plants, and overnight, a swarm of pests turns your hard work into a buffet. But what if I told you that the ultimate pest control does not come in a plastic bottle covered in warning labels? In fact, the solution is already in the soil. Today, we are going to look at 15 miracle vegetable pairs that will completely save your harvest. When you put these specific plants together, pests literally run away in a panic. I am going to show you exactly how to turn your garden into a fortress using nothing but the power of nature. Make sure you watch until the end, because the last combination on our list is a gardening secret that most people get completely wrong, and it could save your entire crop. Before we dive into the specific pairings, let us talk about what is actually happening under the soil and in the air. This method is known as companion planting. It is an ancient agricultural practice that has been used for thousands of years. Long before modern chemical sprays were invented, early farmers realized that nature has its own built-in defense systems. Plants communicate through chemical signals. They release specific scents into the air and unique compounds into the soil. Some plants naturally repel certain insects. Other plants act as magnets for helpful bugs, like ladybugs and predatory wasps, which eat the bad pests. When we talk about companion planting, we are basically playing matchmaker. We are putting plants next to each other that share a mutually beneficial relationship. It is like pairing up a tiny, leafy superhero with a helpless civilian plant. By understanding the science of plant smells and root chemistry, we can create an environment that completely confuses and frustrates the bugs that want to eat our food. Let us start with the undeniable king of the summer garden, the tomato plant. If you have ever grown tomatoes, you know the absolute heartbreak of finding your plants stripped bare by the dreaded tomato hornworm. But what is the secret weapon against this green monster? It is actually a combination of two famous pairs. Pair number 1 is tomatoes and basil. Pair number 2 is tomatoes and marigolds. You might have heard the old gardening rumor that planting basil next to tomatoes makes the fruit taste sweeter. While that is up for debate among chefs, the real magic is in the scent. Basil emits a very strong, peppery aroma that literally masks the natural smell of the tomato plant. When the hornworm moth flies over your garden at night, it relies on its nose to find a place to lay its eggs. The basil confuses its radar entirely. Now, let us add marigolds to the mix. There is a common myth that marigolds magically kill all insects on contact. That is simply not true. Instead, marigolds do something much smarter. Their roots release a specific chemical into the soil that repels root knot nematodes. These are microscopic worms that destroy tomato roots from underground. Above ground, the bright yellow flowers act as a trap crop. Imagine a fortress around your tomatoes. The basil creates an invisible shield of smell in the air, while the marigolds guard the soil. It is a brilliant, two-pronged defense system. Moving on to our next incredibly powerful combinations, we have to talk about root vegetables. Pair number 3 is carrots and onions. Pair number 4 is carrots and leeks. These combinations are the absolute gold standard for fighting off flies. If you grow carrots, your biggest enemy is the carrot rust fly. This tiny insect lays its eggs at the base of the carrot, and the maggots burrow down and ruin the root. On the other hand, if you grow onions or leeks, your biggest enemy is the onion fly. But here is where nature shows its brilliant sense of humor. The strong, sulfur-rich smell of onions and leeks completely repels the carrot rust fly. At the exact same time, the sweet, earthy smell of the carrot tops repels the onion fly. They literally protect each other by crossing their scent streams. Imagine an onion fly zooming toward your garden, looking for that sharp onion smell. Instead, it gets a face full of carrot scent, gets completely confused, and flies away to someone else's yard. This is called olfactory masking. It is one of the most reliable ways to save your harvest without ever touching a chemical spray. You just alternate rows of carrots with rows of onions, and you create a confusing maze of smells that pests simply cannot navigate. Next up is a legendary combination that forms pairs 5 and 6. This is the pairing of corn, beans, and squash. Native American farmers have used this system for centuries, and they called it the Three Sisters. It is a masterpiece of companion planting. Let us look at the mechanics of why this works so well against pests. First, you plant the tall corn. The corn acts as a natural trellis for the pole beans to climb. That is pair number 5. The beans are amazing because they pull nitrogen from the air and fix it into the soil, feeding the heavy-eating corn. But the real pest control comes in with pair number 6, which is the beans and the squash. You plant the squash at the base of the corn and beans. Squash plants have massive, prickly leaves. These wide leaves spread out across the ground, creating a thick, shady canopy. This shade keeps the soil moist and prevents weeds from growing. But more importantly, those prickly leaves are a physical barrier. Raccoons absolutely hate walking on prickly squash vines to get to the sweet corn. Squash bugs and beetles also get tangled and frustrated in the dense jungle of stems. It is a perfect example of using physical plant traits, rather than just smells, to keep the bad guys away from your precious harvest. Let us talk about cabbage, broccoli, and kale. These brassica plants are highly attractive to the cabbage white butterfly. This butterfly lays tiny yellow eggs that turn into hungry green caterpillars. In just a few days, they can turn your beautiful cabbage heads into Swiss cheese. To stop them, we look to pairs 7 and 8, cabbage paired with dill and cabbage paired with thyme. Let us bust a quick myth here. Simply putting an herb near a plant does not create a magical force field. The herbs have to be actively working. When you plant dill next to cabbage, you are not just masking the scent. You are actually calling in an airstrike. Dill produces tiny umbrella-shaped flowers that act as a landing pad for parasitic wasps. These are microscopic, helpful wasps that do not sting humans. Instead, they hunt down cabbage caterpillars, lay their eggs inside them, and destroy the pest population naturally. It is a tiny, brutal war happening right on your cabbage leaves. Pair number 8, cabbage and thyme, works slightly differently. Thyme has a very potent medicinal scent. When planted tightly around the base of the cabbage, it disrupts the cabbage white butterfly from locating the host plant. The butterfly circles around, smells the thyme, assumes there is no cabbage nearby, and leaves your garden in peace. Now we move to pair number 9, cucumbers and radishes. Cucumbers are fantastic summer treats, but they are constantly under attack by the striped cucumber beetle. These beetles do not just eat the leaves, they carry a devastating bacterial wilt disease that can kill a cucumber vine overnight. So, how do radishes save the day? You might think radishes belong in a salad, but in this case, they are actually serving in the military as a decoy unit. This technique is called using a trap crop. You plant a thick border of radishes around your cucumber mounds. Flea beetles and cucumber beetles absolutely love the spicy taste of radish leaves. They will swarm the radishes and happily chew small holes in the green tops. Meanwhile, your cucumber plants remain completely untouched in the center of the ring. The best part is that radishes grow entirely underground. Even if the bugs chew up the radish leaves, the actual radish root is usually perfectly fine to eat. You are sacrificing a little bit of the radish leaf to save your entire cucumber harvest. It is a highly strategic move that organic farmers use to manage heavy beetle infestations without resorting to toxic powders. Our 10th miracle pair involves a garden staple and a very spicy companion, potatoes paired with horseradish. If you grow potatoes, you already know the villain of this story, the Colorado potato beetle. This pest is a nightmare. It multiplies rapidly and can strip a potato plant of all its leaves in a matter of days, completely ruining your chances of getting a good harvest. Many gardeners struggle with this bug because it quickly becomes resistant to chemical sprays. But nature has a spicy solution. Horseradish is a tough, deep-rooting plant with very strong chemical properties. When you plant horseradish at the corners of your potato patch, two amazing things happen. First, the pungent oils in the horseradish leaves act as a strong deterrent for the Colorado potato beetle. The beetles land, smell the intense spice, and decide it is a terrible place to raise their young. Second, horseradish is known to increase the general disease resistance of the potato plants growing near it. Think of horseradish as the tough bouncer at the door of a club. It stands tall, smells intimidating, and keeps the potato beetles from ever getting inside. Just be careful, because horseradish is a perennial that loves to spread, so you might want to plant it in buried pots. Next, let us look at how to protect your peppers. Bell peppers and jalapenos are often targeted by aphids. Aphids are tiny, soft-bodied insects that suck the sap out of the leaves, causing the plant to wither and drop its fruit. To stop them, we use pair number 11, peppers paired with coriander. You might know coriander by its leaf name, cilantro. While many people love to eat cilantro with their peppers and salsa, they belong together in the garden too. When cilantro bolts and goes to seed, it produces delicate white flowers. These flowers are an absolute magnet for ladybugs and hoverflies. Ladybugs are the ultimate predators of the garden. A single ladybug can eat up to 50 aphids in a single day. By planting coriander near your peppers, you are essentially building a ladybug hotel right next to the aphid buffet. As soon as an aphid shows up on your pepper leaf, the ladybugs march over and clean them up. It is a highly effective, natural pest control system that requires zero effort from you. Plus, you get the added bonus of harvesting fresh cilantro leaves for your cooking before the plant flowers. It is a total win for you and a total disaster for the aphids. Our 12th pair brings us back to the dreaded Colorado potato beetle, but this time it is attacking a different victim: eggplants. Eggplants belong to the nightshade family, just like potatoes. Because of this, potato beetles absolutely adore eggplant leaves. In fact, they often prefer eggplants over potatoes. To defend them, we use the combination of eggplants and bush beans. This pairing works beautifully because it addresses both pests and plant nutrition. As we mentioned earlier, beans are fantastic at fixing nitrogen into the soil. Eggplants are heavy feeders and need a lot of nitrogen to produce those big, glossy purple fruits. So, the beans feed the eggplant. But the defense strategy is even better. Bush beans contain certain compounds in their leaves that repel the Colorado potato beetle. When you surround your eggplant with a tight circle of bush beans, the beetles are repelled by the bean barrier. If they try to crawl across the soil, they encounter the beans and turn around. It is an amazing example of mutual benefit. The beans keep the beetles away, and the eggplant provides a sturdy structure that helps shelter the smaller bush beans from harsh summer winds. They truly take care of each other. Moving on to pair number 13, lettuce paired with garlic. Growing crisp, fresh lettuce is highly rewarding, right until you step out in the morning and see slimy trails all over your salad greens. Slugs and snails are the ultimate enemy of leafy greens. They hide during the heat of the day and come out at night to feast on the tender lettuce leaves. But slugs have a major weakness. They have highly sensitive, soft bodies, and they absolutely despise strong sulfur compounds. That is where garlic comes in. Garlic is nature's smelly force field. When you plant cloves of garlic around your lettuce patch, the growing garlic stalks release allicin into the soil and air. Allicin is the chemical that gives garlic its sharp bite. To a slug, crossing a barrier of garlic is like trying to walk through a wall of tear gas. They simply will not do it. Imagine a slug sliding toward your juicy romaine lettuce. It hits the invisible scent barrier of the garlic, stops in its tracks, and completely changes direction. This pairing not only saves your lettuce from being eaten, but it also maximizes your garden space, since garlic grows straight up and lettuce stays low to the ground. Pair number 14 is a combination of sweet and wild. Strawberries paired with borage. Strawberries are a highly prized crop, but they attract everything from aphids to birds to hornworms. Borage is a wildly beautiful herb with fuzzy leaves and bright, star-shaped blue flowers. Many gardeners have never even heard of borage, but it is one of the most powerful companion plants in existence. When you plant borage near your strawberries, magic happens. First, borage is known to actually improve the flavor of the strawberries growing next to it. But more importantly, borage is a master at confusing pests. The fuzzy leaves naturally repel the tomato hornworm, which sometimes wanders over to eat strawberry foliage. Furthermore, the bright blue flowers are an irresistible beacon for bees and other pollinators. Strawberries desperately need pollinators to produce big, perfectly shaped fruit. By bringing borage into the mix, you are increasing your fruit yield through better pollination, while simultaneously creating a scent barrier that keeps destructive worms away. Borage also mines deep trace minerals from the soil and brings them to the surface, acting as a natural fertilizer when the borage leaves die back and decompose. We have reached our final major category, which brings us to pair number 15, zucchini and nasturtium. If you have ever lost a healthy zucchini plant overnight, you probably fell victim to the squash bug. Squash bugs inject a toxic saliva into the plant stems that causes the whole vine to instantly wilt and die. It is incredibly frustrating. The secret weapon here is the nasturtium flower. Nasturtiums are beautiful, edible flowers that grow low to the ground. They act as the ultimate sacrificial lamb in the garden. Nasturtiums are highly attractive to aphids and squash bugs. In fact, bugs love nasturtiums more than they love your zucchini. When you plant nasturtiums close to your squash, the bugs will completely ignore your vegetables and flock to the flowers. You will often see a nasturtium plant completely covered in black aphids, while the zucchini plant sitting right next to it is spotlessly clean and healthy. Once the nasturtium is heavily infested, you simply pull the flower out of the ground, throw it in the trash, bugs and all, and plant a new seed. It is a masterclass in drawing the enemy away from the castle and into a trap. Finally, we have an honorable mention pairing that is incredibly powerful but requires a massive warning. Peas paired with mint. Peas are an early spring crop that often fall victim to aphids and field mice. Mice love to dig up freshly planted pea seeds. Mint is one of the strongest smelling herbs you can grow. The intense peppermint oils completely overwhelm the sensitive noses of mice and insects. A mouse looking for pea seeds will run in the opposite direction when it smells mint. However, there is a huge catch. You must never plant mint directly into your garden beds. Mint is highly invasive. It sends out deep runners underground and will aggressively choke out every other plant in your garden, including the peas you were trying to protect. To use this combination correctly, you must plant the mint in separate plastic pots. You then place those potted mint plants around the borders of your pea trellis. This gives you all the incredible pest-repelling benefits of the mint scent without allowing the roots to destroy your garden. It is a powerful pest control trick as long as you respect the aggressive nature of the mint plant. So there you have it. You now know the secrets to saving your harvest using the brilliant power of nature. What is truly mind-blowing about all of this is the realization that plants are not just sitting there helplessly. They have evolved highly complex chemical defense systems. By understanding these systems, you can completely eliminate the need for toxic, expensive chemical pesticides. You simply use trap crops to distract the enemy, strong-smelling herbs to confuse their radar, and bright flowers to call in the ladybug cavalry. The result is a healthier, more organic harvest for you and your family. If you implement even just a few of these vegetable pairs this season, I promise you will see a massive difference in how many pests bother your garden. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new today, please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with a friend who loves gardening. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 15 pairs are you going to try first? Or what is the absolute worst garden pest you are battling right now? Let me know down in the comments and let us get a discussion going.